Hello and welcome to Impact. This is a brand new show that we're featuring right here in the city of Huntsville, Alabama, sponsored by the Office of Multicultural Affairs for the city of Huntsville. My name is Kenneth Anderson and I'm happy to be with you today as Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs. We have so many exciting things that are happening in the city, and it's our privilege to be able to come to you each week sharing information about some of those wonderful things. As you watch our show from one week to the next, we'll be able to tell you about some things that are happening that you may be very familiar with and some things that you may not be quite as familiar with. But we promise that every week we'll provide information that we know will provide great information for you about the great resources right here in our city. Today we're going to be talking with a wonderful group of individuals from an organization that I love very much. It is the United Way of Madison County. And the United Way of Madison County has been around in this community for 70 years. Can you imagine that? They have been doing some wonderful things in this community on behalf of other people who may not be quite as fortunate as others. And we're proud to have them as a part of our community. And one of the things that I recognize often is that even though the United Way has been here for 70 years and has done wonderful things for that period of time, people don't always know about some of the other things that they're responsible for as well. So I thought I'd invite a few people on the very first show today to talk a little bit about what's happening with the United Way of Madison County. Let me first of all introduce my guest today. First of all, Wendy Kirk is CEO of the United Way of Madison County and President. And we're glad to have her here with us today on the broadcast. Hello, Wendy.
Hi, Kenny. Thank you so much. We're just so honored to be here with you today, especially on your first inaugural show. This is quite an honor, and we're here representing all of the thousands of volunteers that represent that 70 years of history here in Madison County. So thank you so much for having us on today.
Well, it's great to have you, and I know that you're real excited all the time and very engaged in what's happening in the community. So this is a great opportunity for us to talk about some of those things today.
Fantastic. That's why we're here.
And you've brought some friends with you.
I have.
You have Cathy Miller here. Cathy, of course, is the Community Impact and Volunteer Programs Coordinator for the United Way of Madison County. And I met Cathy a few years ago when she was doing an awesome job in the community, and she continues to do just that. Cathy, thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Kenny. It's always a great pleasure to be with you, talking to the community. We love to do that. We get a chance to do that from time to time. And it really is wonderful to connect to people, both people in need and people who can help. And that's really what we're here to talk about today.
And you know, Cathy, you have a real heart for the community. You have a real heart for people, and you have a real heart for children. And we'll probably talk a little bit about that today as well.
Okay, that's great. Sitting
next to you is Fariba Tabarrok. Fariba is the campaign director for the United Way of Madison County, and she wears an awfully big hat. We're very thankful to have her here. Welcome to the broadcast, Fariba.
Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate being here, and I echo my co-workers' sentiments and letting us be here on your inaugural show. We're excited.
It's great to have you, and I know you're right in the middle of a big campaign.
Hectic time of year.
Yes, it is. So you've taken a little time out from the strategy room.
Yes.
And to come
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
We thank you for a little break away from that right now. But we're going to talk a lot about that campaign today as well.
Okay.
Let me start with Wendy, though, because as I said earlier, one of the things that oftentimes happens is people know there's a great resource in the community. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who doesn't know anything about the United Way, never heard of it or doesn't know anything about what they do. But talk a little bit about the significance of having the United Way of Madison County in this community and just having celebrated your 70th birthday.
Oh, that is just a tremendous statement. That 70 years in Madison County alone, the amount of volunteer hours that have gone into running a United Way, and that's the beauty of the United Way system overall, is that it's local individuals making local decisions with local resources. And I think that when you look at the local need and you're able to meet the local need, there is nothing out there like that. And that's what is so unique about a United Way. That's one of the things I'm privileged to be able to help with every day in my daily role.
Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about your personal commitment to United Way, because you're in this role now in the Madison County community, but this is not your first rodeo with United Way.
This is true. I actually left Arkansas State University as an instructor and advisor. I loved my students, but I really felt a calling. There was an opening for the executive director of the United Way of Northeast Arkansas in Jonesboro, and after some major considerations, decided to try for that position, and was blessed and was able to take that position on and work there for over 2 years. And the Chief Operating Officer position here opened up, and again I was offered that position and took it, and have been here now for about 4 years in the President's role now for several months, and it's very exciting to be here with such a unique community, Huntsville and Madison County. I feel like I'm in a Nova episode every day. I learn so much, and all of the unique sciences and STEM projects that are going on here, they're just phenomenal. And you drive from those projects and from the headquarters of some of the most prominent companies in the world, you drive 2 or 3 blocks away, and the need is incredible. So we've got a juxtaposition in our community here, as you well know, and that's why we exist. That's what we're here for, is to connect those two worlds. And Fariba said that very well with the corporate campaign that she runs through all of those corporations that are very community-minded. We have volunteers seeking out those needs and filling those needs with resources.
Well, you bring a lot of energy and passion to the table for sure. And this community
is easy to have.
Well, it is, because when you really begin to think about the many ways that the United Way impacts our community, and the many lives that are touched as a result of the services that are provided, I think you get a greater appreciation for why the United Way is such a jewel in this community. You mentioned a moment ago campaign, and I did also in introducing Fariba. And Fariba, of course, wears that very big hat of raising a lot of money in this community for United Way. And one of the things that I think people could benefit from in terms of your being here today, we'll be just talking a little bit about what is the campaign. It's kind of demystify that whole process, because people hear that word sometimes and they think it's that thing where people raise money and they knock on doors and I put some money in a little basket or something and then I'm done, or I make an annual contribution, or I make a payroll deduction. But really the campaign is more than that. And I know we've had a chance to talk about that before. Talk to the audience a little bit about what that process is all about.
It's such an easy process, and it would be remiss of me not to start off by saying it's this community that makes it a wonderful and easy process. We live in a very giving community. They step up all the time. And when we talk about running a workplace campaign, it's an opportunity for United Way of Madison County to enter the workplace and share not only what we're doing, but those are what our work of our partners and what are the needs of the clients, which is the most important piece, and telling the story of who's being touched, what are they receiving, and how you as a donor are a major part of that process. And it's so easy because these companies then allow us to do a payroll deduction. All you do is just mark it on your payroll deduction sheet that you want to do a payroll deduction. It comes out before you even see it, so you don't miss it quite as much. And it simplifies the process for everybody, for United Way, for the donor, and for the workplace.
Well, you know, you of course have been involved with this campaign for a while yourself. And as I told Wendy also, one of the things that I think makes United Way Madison County so effective is your own personal commitment to the process. And I want to talk maybe your personal commitment to this in just a moment, but also want to talk about just the idea that as I've watched the campaign direction that you've provided for this campaign, you have energized and engaged a core of people that have really been activated and energized to really make an impact on our community. Talk a little bit about the behind the scenes things that are really an extension of the community with the people working to help in this campaign.
First off, I got to start with my own team. They are phenomenal. They step up in ways I never envisioned. They're constantly thinking of new ways to do things, new ideas. How can we improve what we do? And then it goes even further to what we call loaned executives, which are employees that are loaned to us by various companies throughout Madison County so that they help us run these workplace campaigns. We couldn't do it without them.
And those loan executives are people who are volunteered
They are
by their
volunteers.
organizations. And those managers, CEOs, supervisors make decisions about those people, and they actually say, you can make this commitment to United Way on behalf of our company to help raise money. And that's important.
Oh gosh, the support these companies give us is phenomenal. And then they not only give us the time, but they give us the resource of this person who's coming in engaged and excited, and they dramatically improve the process. And they're always helping us think things through. And the beautiful part is, just today I had a conversation with most of them, and they're willing to stay on and be a part of focus groups and committees, etc., as we develop new business, as we develop leadership giving, as we look at all the different parts of a campaign. And it's very many pieces of a puzzle come together. And then it goes all the way through to those donors and to the companies again. That it's all of that makes my job easy.
Yeah, and you know, the United Way executive loan piece, of course, is a very important function, so important that United Way actually invests time in training these individuals. And that's a very valuable part of this process too, because you just don't recruit people and say, hey, come help us do something. You actually talk about what that something is. You introduce them to the partners. You help them see what that process is all about and what it feels like. You give them scripts, you rehearse them. I mean, there are all kinds of valuable information that you provide as a result of that.
Right, and I do think we do a good job of providing training. They walk away after our training understanding what is going on in Madison County, and it's really fun when they go, I didn't know that, and now I'm going to go talk about it and raise awareness and bring forth the needs. When Wendy was talking, what we are always looking at is what is going on in our community, what are the gaps, and how can we fill those gaps. And for me, it's not just a professional commitment, but it's a personal commitment, because at one point in time, I too was a recipient of services provided by United Way and its partners. So I had my aha moment, and it makes it very easy for me to go and share and hopefully excite others to join us in this crusade.
You know, it's one thing to talk about agencies, it's another thing to maybe pass through the community and see buildings, see advertising about these different companies. But I think one of the most important things that happens in this whole process of training is that the loan executives, the volunteers, the campaign staff get to meet the faces behind the statistics. And they really get to understand that what you're doing is you're not giving money to a thing. You're giving money to a person. There is humanity behind whatever it is that that person is experiencing. And that's part of the tug in this whole process. And it is a very genuine process because you're able to connect a process with a person.
Right. And the most important thing we can help this community understand about those who are in a troubled spot is that they don't want to be there. It is safe to say that the majority of the people who reach out for help don't want the help. They are just in a place that there is no alternative. And it's luckily that we have United Way in this community and our friends and our partners doing the kind of work that needs to be done, so that we're not giving you a hand out, we're giving you a hand up. And anybody who reaches out, statistics show us that anybody who reaches out for help, they're going to need at least 6 different service organizations to step up before they can be made whole, before they can find the success to move on in their lives. And it's exciting to be a part of that. And that is the most important message we can share, is the face. What does the face of a client look like?
And you know, Kenny, one of the things that I love about United Ways across the country is they're not sending money off to Timbuktu. They are providing services right here for our neighbors, for our people that we're going to see in the grocery store, and we're going to see when we're driving to work, and we're going to see that have an impact on us no matter how comfortable we are. You know, and that's very meaningful to me, that we are helping our funds stay local. So on the one hand, our donors can see where their money is going. They don't have to worry that it's going off somewhere, and I don't even know if it made any difference or not. And anybody can come to United Way and we'll show them how their donor dollars are making a difference. So I think that's a key part of campaign that they do so well, is that we have that local piece where we're helping folks that are right here. And it is amazing to me, when I came to United Way in 2010, I saw parts of this community I had no idea even existed in terms of need and in terms of fragile families. You know, my children come in there all the time. Because of that, that's one of the motivators I have for going to work for this organization, is that chance to touch families and individuals, because they really are connected to me, whether I think they are or not, in terms of economics, in terms of viability of the community. You know, we have a great community here of Madison County, but what can we do if we take care of those most fragile people in moving even further than we've been able to otherwise?
And you know, you could bring up a great point, Cathy, in that it's not just the people who need help that we're about. The reality is it affects everybody in Madison County. If we can help people find good health, strong education, and financial stability, we've provided them with opportunity, with an ability to thrive, and with empowerment. That benefits everybody in Madison County. It works for all of us. So whether you receive help or not, or you think you may never receive help, in some way you still are being touched, because we're improving those around you as well.
Right. And that's really why I wanted to have the United Way of Madison County as my inaugural broadcast, because you cover such a broad range in this community, and your work covers so many different areas and touches so many lives. As I was listening to both Fariba and Cathy talk, and some things that you said earlier, Wendy, there are a lot of needs in our community. And one of the things that the United Way is especially sensitive to are those needs. And you are putting things in place to make sure that those needs are met. You've got some phenomenal programs and initiatives that are happening right now at the United Way. And in the few remaining minutes that we have left, I'd like to share some of those things with the listening audience. Tell us a little bit about 211, for instance, because that's a number that I'm really, really excited about. And of course, we want a lot of people to be excited about that, like everybody.
We need to make sure everybody knows that.
That's right.
It's so easy.
That's right. And if you can remember, 911 is for emergencies, and 411 is for information, 211 is health and human services. And that means that no matter what you need for your health or your humanity, that if you call that number, give them your zip code, then they can tell you the resources that are available in this community to help with that. I cannot tell you how many people, like Fariba was saying, maybe not need it for themselves, but carry that in your heart, because you're going to see somebody else. I had a friend who, I told him about 211. The next day he called me and he said, my sister came home from school and there was a girl who had experienced sexual violence in her home, and she didn't know where to turn. And because you told me about 211, I knew where to send her. And they got her to the right place. They got her to a safe place and a supportive place, and she's back on the road to recovery already. So that is, and it doesn't have to be big things like that. It can be, I need to find childcare. You know, I need to find someone that can tell me about how to deal with a newly diagnosed Alzheimer's patient. I mean, there are all kinds of things that, so we always encourage people to do that. And we have a superb delivery partner in Crisis Services of North Alabama. They've been doing hotlines and resource lines for a long time in this community. So they were a natural partner for United Way to go to and say, we are funding with the other United Ways across the state, a 211 system here. Will you manage this for us? And that was quite a few years ago. I don't know exactly how long ago, but we hear all the time across the state how well they do their job and how many people get. And I think, Fariba, you've mentioned before to me that there is also some research, in addition to what you mentioned about people needing 3 or 4 or 6 services, I think.
Yeah.
Typically, if somebody's looking for something, it takes them 6 or 7 calls to find the right agency. With 211, you call one, and you're right there. And they're always updating. We have forums that we help share every time we're out in the community talking, so that if there is a nonprofit, maybe a new one that's providing something unique that's filling a gap, we want to make sure they're listed in 211.
I think it's also important to mention it's also a nationwide service.
Yes, it is.
If you're here and you've got family in California and mom's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and you're worried and scared and you can't get out there right away, still call 211. The very first question they're going to ask you is, what zip code are you calling about?
Right. Yeah.
You give them that zip code, they're going to connect you with that local 211. It's a United Way worldwide initiative, and we're very proud that we can be a part of it here in Madison County. But I want people to understand that too. It is everywhere, and it's to help everyone.
Right, and it really is a very simple way of dealing with crisis. And typically we're talking about acute crisis. I mean, it could be chronic also. But it's this thing that happens at this moment that you don't know quite what the answer is, or how to find a resource for, or an unfortunate circumstance that you find yourself in that you were not in just a few hours or days ago.
Well, maybe I need a wheelchair ramp all of a sudden, and it's going to be probably temporary, we would hope, but suddenly I can't get out my front door.
What do I do? Where do I go? Who do you call?
You notice your neighbor has trouble with that, and they can't effectively navigate the steps anymore. You can call 211 for them and just find the resources that they need and share those resources that are accurate with them.
That's right.
I've got a great story. I learned in campaign, I can tell them quick, is that I was at a company last year, and I did talk about 211. Company this year, same one. Lady says, I remember you saying last year, that lady kept saying 211, call 211. Well, it was me. And it turns out her mother had been in a very bad car accident, amputated at the hip. Didn't know what to do, distraught. Mother's in a total state of demise because she's so distraught. They called 211. Good news is they immediately got her hooked up with a company that came and retrofitted the mother's car. And so now this mom has gone back to being mobile. They've got, she was able to receive other services for free, and their lives are back on track. And a tragedy quickly averted into a positive experience in the end, and it was just fun that she was able to go. I remember calling 211. You know?
You're helping
so we love it
for sure today. Absolutely, 211 is the number to call.
Yeah,
and, you know, when we
absolutely.
talk to folk, it's just 211.
Right.
Simple as that. Not a lot of fluff. Just real briefly, tell us about holiday wishes, because I know that's a big initiative right now. We just have a few minutes left, so just tell us about holiday wishes.
Well, this is our 16th year of Holiday Wishes, and we are partnering with the Huntsville Times, or Alabama Media Group, and what we have traditionally done is print 40 wishes in the paper of items that possibly couldn't be received from other organizations in the community. Well, this year we decided, with the needs being what they are this year, with the economy the way it is, we wanted to think bigger. And so we talked to the Times, and they were in agreement and came on board with us very quickly. And we have asked our 29 partners for 3 items that they can't keep in stock for their clients, things that fly off the shelves, things that are needed every day. And we've published those, and we're collecting those until mid-December at our office at United Way, and we are so excited. It might be jump drives, it might be toiletries, it might be linens for the Crisis Services Center, for example.
Nowhere.
Exactly. They're exactly, especially
even
today.
in November.
That's exactly right. There are so many different needs, and they're not huge needs. The irony was that a few dollars and a few moments of your time, an extra jar of peanut butter at the grocery store, or maybe you host a canned food drive at the office, and then you drop all the proceeds off, and then we'll be glad to have our volunteers deliver all of those to the appropriate organizations. And they're really excited about it, because these are meeting needs, and we hope of, instead of just the 40 families, which was important, but we're hoping to meet the needs of thousands this way. And we are so excited. We've had phenomenal feedback already, and we're hopeful that those donations will just keep pouring in for the next few weeks.
Well, that's certainly within the boundaries of the great work that United Way is doing to touch as many lives as possible. And of course, Holiday Wishes is going to be a great way to do that. Let's tell people, let's make sure we don't miss this part. How can people find out about Holiday Wishes? How can they find out about the United Way? And I also have a follow-up question after you give that information.
MadisonCountyCares.org. That is an easy website to find, and that's where the list is located, so that you can find out all about the organization, but you can also go straight to the holiday wishes list there as well, and those needs are listed there.
Give them one more time.
MadisonCountyCares.org.
Okay, and if they wanted to reach you by phone, let's say that there's somebody watching today and they're thinking, you know what, I want to volunteer for that agency. I want to volunteer for one of those partner agencies that they work with.
Absolutely.
I want to really do something special this holiday season that goes above and beyond what I've done in the past. How would they go about doing that?
Well, we also have an online volunteer center, and we have a person who's in charge of that volunteer
technology
center.
wonderful?
Exactly, exactly. We have a phenomenal volunteer center director, a human being that can help place you with your volunteer needs, and also the volunteer center online, so you could just peruse if you wanted to. Let's say you're on the internet at night in your pajamas and you thought, what can I do Saturday? Well, you could easily look that up, and then during the daytime, of course, they can call the office and visit with anyone there, can direct them to the right person. We are pretty much always available, and that's a great thing about United Way.
That's great. And what's that website one more time?
MadisonCountyCares.org.
All right, that's really easy to remember.
It is.
You're absolutely right.
It is.
And I think it's a good representation of what the United Way does, as well as a representation of what this community presents. A community of caring individuals that really want to see other people make a difference. And that we want to be the difference that we expect to see in the world. That's one of Mahatma Gandhi's sayings about the whole value of human lives, and that we need to be always thinking in other-centered ways, especially at this time of year, because that's really what the holiday season is all about. And I'm just so happy that the United Way continues to set the pace and be a pioneer and trailblazer as it relates to these kinds of initiatives. You've established a great model over the years, and I can't imagine anything changing except maybe some internal modifications and things of that nature that can only make you do your job even better over the coming years.
More volunteers,
Yeah.
That's what we need. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, Kenny, it really is true that together we can do more. And we're learning that so much in the community when we talk about our nonprofits working as hard as they are, both our partners and our friends in the community in that world, and also individuals, that it really is true that if we come together and work together on issues, and the greatest issues in the community, and we'll have a good opportunity with our needs assessment coming up next year to be working on that. But to remember that, you know, you can work in your own little closet and do your own little thing, or you can come and join a bigger effort, and that often is when a monumental change, a life-changing event can happen for individuals.
That's community change.
Absolutely.
That's the definition, is all of us coming together around a specific cause and making it happen.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Once again, give us that website one more time.
MadisonCountyCares.org.
And what's that phone number that people need to call if they have a real problem that's going on in their lives?
Oh, 211. It was a quiz, right? It was a test.
You know, I still got the educator in me. I haven't gotten rid of that.
That's
But,
okay. And if you'd like to call United Way, that's 256-536-0745.
give that number one more time.
Fariba, it's your turn.
211 and 256-536-0745.
Listen, you guys have been great guests today, and we really appreciate you being on the broadcast. Just keep doing what you're doing. And, you know, it's about 33 years ago that I first became familiar with United Way through Huntsville Rehab Center, which is now Phoenix.
Right.
And it was my very first job out of college, and it was an opportunity to do payroll deduction. I've known and been committed to United Way since then. And when people ask me about United Way, I tell them I live United because this community really cares and makes a big difference. So thank you for the great work that you all do.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And thank you for your commitment as well.
Well, my inaugural guest, you know, we won't ever forget this moment.
That's right. So true.
All right.
Awesome.
We want to thank you for joining us today and being a part of the inaugural broadcast of Impact with Kenny Anderson. I'm the Director of the Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and it'll be my privilege each week to share information about organizations, events, resources, and other items of interest that are making an impact in our great city. Thank you for tuning in today, and we hope to see you again on next week. Have a great day.